The story of victims such as Clara Akpo and others are captured in a Hotline documentary, which airs tonight. Now, the wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, is meanwhile calling for intensified education of drivers. In line with the call, we got on the road to observe some of the many infractions drivers commit, either knowingly or unknowingly.
Kilometers per hour. If there's any crash, nobody will die for sure. We'll have minor injuries, whether you are in the car or even when you are knocked down, it will not be as serious as the speed 80 kilometers per hour. So again, if we refer to the bus incident that happened, when I saw the pictures, I just said no. The Dompoase case, this is 120, 140 kilometers per hour.
Also in the bulletin, the communications officer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Sammy Gyamfi, has been released on bail after he was arrested Monday morning after a TV appearance. He says he will not be intimidated.
Just to assure all, sympathizers, lovers, friends, that I, Sammy Gyamfi, I am not a criminal, I have never committed a crime, and no amount of concoction or fabrication from the Flagstaff can intimidate me or silence me.
And coming up in business.
Deadly coronavirus impacts global crude prices, sending them below $60 for the first time in 3 months.
Now, in business, we'll be assessing the impact in Ghana shortly. And health authorities step up efforts to screen passengers arriving from China in a bid to prevent the coronavirus from finding its way into Ghana. I'm Israel Laya, and Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlemle here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay tuned in. The communications officer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Sammy Gyamfi, who was picked up by officers believed to be from the Bureau of National Investigations Monday morning, has been granted bail. Ms. Gyamfi was arrested while heading into his car after featuring in a television program on Accra-based UTV. Johnny sources have linked the arrest to a complaint from Jubilee House over alleged cyber offences. Addressing journalists after his release on bail, Mr. Gyamfi said he would not be intimidated.
About the solidarity they have come to show. I want to encourage them that some of us are fearless. We cannot be intimidated. We are on course to rescue this country from the hands of those who oppress us. And no amount of intimidation, no amount of harassment can cower us into silence. So in the coming days, my lawyers will be speaking to the media on the details of the issue. But just to assure all, sympathizers, lovers, friends, that I, Sammy Gyamfi, I am not a criminal, I have never committed a crime, and no amount of concoction or fabrication from the Flagstaff can intimidate me or silence me. Thank you very much.
The Criminal Investigations Department in December last year commenced investigations into a case of forgery and publication of false information involving Sammy Gyamfi targeted at tarnishing the image of the Kufuor government. The NDC communications officer subsequently filed a suit at the Accra High Court asking for his arrest warrant to be overturned. His arrest on Monday was the latest twist and drew hordes of party supporters, including the national chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, to the police headquarters to push for his release.
For showing up here in your numbers, show solidarity. National communication. Where are you going? We will die for you, Sammy. The good news is that we have gone through the due process. He's been granted bail, and there's no problem at all as far as we are concerned. We were represented by the best of legal brains that you can get in this country, and Attorney General Marita. The due process, whatever they wanted us to do, we have satisfied them. And so Sammy has been released, and so there's no problem. He will go and continue to do his work. I want to thank you. There's no need for panic. We are not going to fall to any diversity tactics. We are remaining focused on our agenda. And our agenda is that Ghana needs a new president, not a new voter.
Former National Health Insurance Authority Chief Executive Sylvester Mensah, who was also at the police headquarters, was of the opinion the police is doing someone's bidding.
I think that the politics in our dear country is degenerating. I think that politicians in power must be extremely careful about their actions, particularly in an election year. We have had a very useful democracy over the years. We have had a lot of peace over the years. It doesn't appear that the current government would want to have peace into the elections. And from the kind of things that we see, I mean, from the arrest of our national chairman and from several Kwakwa Nyidoho, and you could tell clearly that there is an agenda, and that agenda is not Ghana police agenda. It is a political agenda.
Are you suggesting to me that when people are causing fear and panic, the security agencies do not have the right to invite them and question them?
No one has said so. No one has said so. And that is why nobody is running away from arrest. And that is why anyone who is invited by the police willingly walks in there. Have you heard of any NDC person, a member of our party, running away from arrest for any reason whatsoever? No. We have a lot of confidence in the law courts, in the judiciary, and we believe that we still have a good judiciary and a very fair judiciary. We believe in that. But this abuse of power that we see, show of power, of force, is something that you as journalists must also be worried about.
But I'm struggling to appreciate the show of force and show of power because it's been alleged that your national communications officer made some publication that caused fear and panic. And so the police have every right to pick him up.
Of course, the police has every right to pick anybody up, including yourself. You could be arrested right away now, locked up there for some allegations. It is only when it is proven that one can say that you have been involved in anything. Right. But at least your human rights, your liberties would have been violated. And we believe that Sammy Gyamfi is as innocent as you are. So and we believe, because I trust you, and I say that he's as innocent as you are, unless you are not innocent, unless there's something about you that I need to know. But if I know you well, just as I know Sammy Gyamfi, I can vouch for you and I can vouch for him. That's exactly what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you and I would come to the realization that this is a hoax.
There are those who say that bringing on board party supporters clearly interferes with the work of the police.
I don't know where you're coming from, perhaps from a partisan background, but I think that it's all part of the political process. When you see something that you consider very wrong, if you see something that appears politically tainted, if you see an action that appears not legitimate, you have to show some force. And so if members of our party have come around, they have come around to show solidarity. And that is a force of solidarity that I'm talking about. If anyone says that party, nobody called any party member here. It was quite out.
In other news, scientists are warning Ghana remains ill prepared to deal with a possible invasion by destructive desert locusts, criticizing government's emergency preparedness plan to deal with the pest. The Food and Agriculture Organization has warned the pests, which have caused vast destruction in East Africa, are headed towards West Africa. They chew on all crops, and the Ministry of Agriculture is concerned the invasion will cause huge food insecurity challenges. Head of Pest Management at the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Division of MOFA, Ebenezer Abwaje, told Joy News government will rely on pesticides brought in to deal with the fall armyworm invasion to fight the desert locusts.
The best thing we can use to control them when we have invasion, the insecticides. So we are even lucky. We are going through a process of procuring insecticides for the fall armyworm we have in Ghana here. So the process is ongoing. It's almost complete.
Okay.
So assuming they have instead of fall armyworm, we have this desert locust. Quickly we can divert the insecticides going to mob them out.
How many tons of the pesticide are we ordering? When are they reaching the country?
No, we are not ordering the pesticide. What we buy for the fall armyworm is already here.
How much do we have in our stocks?
We have other stock. Any stock we want, we can get. But for now, we are getting about so many liters for this year.
President of the Ghana Entomologists Association, Dr. Michael Assange, says the plan to rely on fall armyworm fighting pests is a wrong approach.
No, I don't think that is an effective strategy because the chemicals that have been recommended for the fall armyworm are not suitable for dealing with the desert locust outbreak. Because when there's a plague or there's a desert locust outbreak, it's important that you use fast-acting insecticides. And the ones that have been recommended for the fall armyworm are biorationals that are slow-acting, but they are effective though, but they are slow-acting. So if you want to use those same insecticides for the desert locust, I'm sorry, we'll be running into serious trouble.
So then, what do you recommend in terms of a way around it? Importing fresh, other chemicals, or what exactly?
Yes, we need to import chemicals that are suitable for dealing with fall armyworm with the desert locust. And in the areas where there's an outbreak now, they're using Desban, which is an insecticide. It's an organophosphate insecticide that is being used against them, and it's registered here in this country it's recommended for pest management in this country. So we need to get that in place. We need to put our emergency preparedness facilities in place, get the insecticides ready so that in case there is any outbreak, we can deal with it.
What could be the consequences if we are going by this strategy and our emergency preparedness is not very much in place as far as our food security is concerned?
Now, because the desert locust will eat anything in their way, they're going to seriously affect our food security. The northern part of the country produces much of the food that we eat in this country. And if that area is affected by the desert locust, we're going to lose out seriously on our food, and it's going to affect our food security. It's going to affect our strategies towards dealing with meeting the sustainable development goals of zero hunger and even reducing poverty in the country.
And planting for food and jobs.
Yes, and the government's flagship projects of planting for food and jobs, and also the planting for export and rural development, all will be affected because the mangoes, the cashews, and everything that have been planted up north will be affected.
You're watching Joy News from We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. Uninsured vehicles and unlicensed drivers are said to be responsible for almost 90% of the accidents on the country's roads, killing thousands of people each year and maiming many more.
That was not insured, and apparently he wasn't even having a driver's license.
The story of victims such as Clara Akpo and others are captured in a Hotline documentary which airs tonight, right here on the Joy News channel. And health authorities step up efforts to screen passengers arriving from China in a bid to prevent the coronavirus from finding its way into Ghana.
When the temperature is below the threshold, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you have to do is to keep the documents so that in case it may manifest, then you can use the document to track the person. But if it is showing, if the person's temperature is below the threshold, there's nothing you can do.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. Right, it's time for business, and Sandra Fenu is here, and she has something having to do with the coronavirus and its impact on oil prices.
Causing a lot of havoc, and one would have thought, what's that got to do with oil prices? But it's actually affecting oil prices as well.
Okay, globally. Good. I would just suspect that if there's a coronavirus in China, it means that there's lower demand for crude oil.
You're right.
You take it away.
All right, I'm Sandra Esinamapena. As always, I'm here for business. Oil prices dropped to its lowest level since October on Monday, following fears over a potential slowdown in crude demand due to the outbreak of deadly coronavirus. U.S. West Texas Intermediate, that is a WTI crude, for instance, fell $1.26 to $52.93. The new price is the lowest in 3 months. And so what does this really mean for Ghana in terms of prices of crude products? And I have been joined via Sky by Raymond Nutoko, who is a research and policy analyst with the Institute of Energy Security, the IES. Thanks so much for your time. So Reuters is actually reporting that the outbreak of the virus is having a toll on crude oil prices. And one would have thought, like, well, what's that got to do with crude prices when coronavirus is reported in China, bearing in mind that they are not producers of crude oil? Has this anything to do with air transport and demand for aviation crude?
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for having me. And good evening to your viewers. See, let me start by this format. China is the second largest consumer of Brent crude oil. Is credited in energy engine.
Yeah, Raymond, go on. I can hear you.
China already confirmed the death of 10 person who is infected with the virus. There have been doubling of prices by 10%. Like you said, by close of day today, the crude oil traded by 68.58 per barrel. That's the lowest since October 2019. Now, the outbreak at a particular bad time for oil prices, because at this particular time in the market, there is supply glut, which effects have been trying to deal with. They are unable to because of the boom in the initial crisis. And because as the human cost continues, the investors are becoming increasingly concerned about the potential destruction in the supply chain and the economic activities. What that means is that when there is less economic activities, there's going to be less demand for crude oil. And the supply and demand market mechanism dictates that prices will come down. So therefore, there is continued reduction in price. What that also means is that because there is travel restriction on about 15 cities in China, talking about 60 million people, there is going to be a reduction also in product that we get from oil, like jet fuel. All this accounting for the dropping of the Brent crude prices on the international market.
Here back home, Ghana, being a net importer of crude oil, if not immediate solution is not found to this problem, would that affect prices locally? Even though, bearing in mind that we have already announced the first window price for our oil, going into the second quarter window, would this impact us?
Okay, thank you very much. We hope that a quick remedy to the solution. Human life at stake here. But in the energy aspect, since Ghana is a net importer of crude oil, when there is low price in the national market, it actually translates into low prices at the pump. Because Ghana here, we practice the mechanism here. Therefore, we expect that prices at the pump will be reduced for our consumers. Yeah. And going to the first quarter of February, we expect that prices will be lower than the second quarter of January. And we continue to project that as no immediate remedy has been found for the novel virus, we expect reduction in the first quarter of February, in the second quarter of February to us.
So your projection is that prices are likely to go further down if nothing is done immediately or immediate solution is not found to this?
Yes, please, because at the moment, it's not only China that have recorded this disease. We have cases in Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, USA, France, Naples, Thailand. Even close up today, we have recorded one case in Cote d'Ivoire, our neighbors.
Right.
So, you know, this the virus has an history. In 2002, there was a similar virus for the SARS virus, which occupied the international market by 20%. And experts are even projecting that if that basically this particular virus may worse the SARS virus that happened.
Okay, thank you very much, Raymond Nuapo is a research and policy analyst with the Institute of Energy and Security, the IES. And meanwhile, some importers who frequent China to do business are concerned over a possible hike in prices of goods in the short term following the coronavirus outbreak that is already hitting neighboring country Cote d'Ivoire. For now, government has charged traders to postpone all planned trips to China, while China itself has locked down some major cities to curtail the impact of the disease. Some traders and importers in the central business district of Accra have been sharing with Joy Business how the coronavirus is indirectly impacting businesses.
Definitely, it means goods will not be coming into the system, into Ghana. And as a result of that, it will create some shortage. And that shortage may lead to some price hikes. And that will be the impact that we anticipate, at least for the immediate future.
Moani Buhari deals in electricals. She's had to cancel her annual trip to China due to the coronavirus. With a limited stock of electrical wares, she's concerned about the impact of the virus on her business. So I'm here with Moani Buhari, one of the leading importers here at the Central Business District of Accra. She has concerns. She's also disturbed. But listen to your particular story. Help me understand. How concerned are you as an importer?
I think the fumigation has a role here because we bring our containers of waste, you know. And when you bring a container, you find out with dust and stuff all over it. And I heard this thing is airborne. So if there's a dust covering the curtains and I touch it, definitely it's going to affect me. So fumigation has to work.
In Ghana so far, the Ministry of Health has issued a public alert on the virus that is airborne and transmitted from humans to humans. The alert includes surveillance and quarantine centers across the country's borders, while the airports being beefed up.
Thanks so much for watching. My name is Sandra Esenamapina. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, it's terrible enough that people get involved in road crashes, which often deprive families of their loved ones and breadwinners. But when vehicles or drivers who should not be anywhere on the country's roads because the vehicles are not roadworthy or their drivers are not licensed, their conducts, which leads to such accidents, are criminal. Unfortunately, thousands have fallen victim to such criminal conduct, with the criminals in most cases walking away with very minor sanctions or going completely scot-free. Clara Akpo is one such victim who was left maimed for life after an uninsured vehicle driven by an unlicensed driver crashed into her. The National Insurance Commission says there are thousands of uninsured vehicles involved in very tragic accidents that kill and leave others maimed for life. That's the focus of our latest Joy News documentary, Driving to Kill, by Kwesi Parker Wilson. Here's a sneak peek.
The pain of people living with the scars of road accidents is very real. Fractured bones to shattered livelihoods. Survivors of road accidents do not escape it at all. They have to live with the scars for the rest of their lives.
Anytime there's an accident, it falls on the family to actually find a way of actually dealing with their unfortunate relative.
June 17, 2019 was the day that changed the life of 42-year-old Joyce Fowa, who had her 3-year-old son at her back whilst crossing the N1 highway.
Me fa taxi ti ewo New Boy Town. Ti taxi no na mkache nse mesre no. Me ko Kaneshie.
I was going to Takrady, but I had to do a transit from La Paz to Kaneshie to continue my journey. I picked a taxi from New Boy Town to Kaneshie station at La Paz.
Me nim sene kwan no emu tetrete kwan no In fact,
at La Paz, the driver asked me to alight in the median of the road and cross to the other side. Whilst I was crossing, I realized that the highway was too wide. But it was too late for me to return because I was in the middle of the road. I decided to run to the other side. Little did I know that a truck had overtaken the vehicle I was avoiding. That was when I realized that my life was in danger. I shouted, "God, save me."
Yeah, me who baby I me fa me come nim swan. Tia sama eba me timu say, min trembri.
But before I could say another word, the driver of the truck ran over me. He ran over my legs and sped off. I started screaming. My baby who was strapped at my back had collapsed and lying a few meters away from me.
With a broken leg and the flesh around the leg peeling off, she slowly dragged herself to safety. The driver bolted. Her 3-year-old baby, Godwin Achem, collapsed in the process. The impact of the accident required a surgical implant into her broken leg. Doctors at the 37 Military Hospital were forced to slice portions of her thigh and buttocks to fix the skin around the broken leg.
The full documentary airs at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. Now, Second Lady Samira Bawumia is meanwhile urging intensified education of drivers to check the carnage on Ghana's roads. It is estimated that some 2,000 people lose their lives in these road crashes each year, with the latest crash at Dompoase on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway, which killed 34 people, including a baby, still fresh on the minds of the public. While praising the multimedia group for its road safety campaign dubbed Arrive Alive, Mrs. Bawumia said most of the accidents come down to reckless driving.
The news of deaths is everywhere, and it's unfortunate, but it's yes, and well done to your outfit for, having this campaign. It's very important. But for most accidents, they're reckless accidents. I mean, they shouldn't even be called accidents because it's the recklessness that causes it. So they're avoidable deaths, and too many people are dying. The statistics are mind-blowing. So it's about, back again, educating our people, of course, fixing the roads, but educating our people on safe driving, because the faster you are, the more likely you die in an accident. You're driving, right? So at the very least, you should know that. Don't exceed a certain speed limit because it's, it threatens your own life. So yes, it does cross my mind. I can't help it because I hear about it, and we all, are unhappy about it. So well done to you for, making it a priority issue, and however we can help, we'll be happy to support.
Do you think like in all sectors, our inability to enforce our laws is also contributing to these needless deaths?
Yes, and yes. And I think Ghanaians are unique. We're calm, we're very peaceful to a large extent, and we sort of like to turn the other cheek to every issue, and so it affects, and that attitude makes it even difficult for those who want to do the right thing to do the right thing.
Now, here at Joy News, we do agree with Mrs. Bawumia that a lot of drivers need education, even though we believe enforcement of the law is the way to go. So I invited one of the very experienced driving instructors, road safety consultant Cecil Garba, to join me on a drive through town to observe the way people drive and some of the offences often committed. Buckle up for the ride. We're at Labadi now. That's the La General Hospital. And we're moving on to, there's going to be it's a highway, I should say. Cecil. We're getting onto the highway, right?
Yes.
Or you wouldn't call this a highway?
Yes, it is. It is.
What's the speed limit around this place?
Well, where we are at the moment, you should drive at 20 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
And you must not touch your horn because we are around the hospital. That says the law.
Oh.
Yes, don't hold your horn at any hospital.
Okay, so first thing, yes, this trotro driver is right in the middle of our way.
Yes, this is a traffic offense because he's not supposed to be here. He's supposed to go to the bus stop, and he has few moments at the bus stop. So this is wrong, and it's an issue
First
where
offense,
we need to talk about.
Vehicle GT 500615. Okay. So we're at this point we're joining, and I just need to be sure that it's clear to go. I believe I'm clear to go. But see this vehicle that's
Yes,
coming
that's also one thing. He should have waited for you.
And here's another one. What is happening?
Well, this is Sakra driving, right? He's not supposed to be driving here. He's supposed to go to the last U-turn. And then if you look at the U-turn here, the U-turn is made for only one vehicle to turn at a time. U-turns are not for two vehicles.
So you can't come on the side of the vehicle.
No, you can. You can only come to the side of the vehicle if there's a vehicle in front of you or on the side that is negotiating the U-turn. Okay, so you have to wait for him. Now immediately you become parallel with that driver. That is a traffic offense. That should tell you that you are obscuring the vision
of the driver.
Driving. Yes, so it is a traffic offense. And then secondly, you are overlapping in the U-turn. Overlapping in the U-turn, and the other one that I mentioned, 2 offenses.
At this point, I'm doing 45 kilometers per hour. I think I can go some more. I can go a bit faster.
Yes, the law says you should drive on this road. Okay, this I cannot say it's a highway. This is a dual carriage road, and it is in the urban area.
Right.
Okay, so we can't call this as a highway. But however, the inner lane is for faster vehicles. So you must not stay in the inner lane if you cannot drive at least the stipulated law, which says 50 kilometers per hour when you're driving in town. But as you are coming to talk about it, that is really not possible. I always say it. Right, let's drive at 50 kilometers per hour and see. We'll be crawling.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm picking up the speed. So I'm at 50 now.
Okay.
50 looks fair to me.
Yes, that says the law.
All right.
Right, but in Israel, I'm telling you the fact that if you're alone on this dual carriage road, you not drive at 50. Right, if you want to drive at 50, then indicate to the right and stay in the outer lane. Now, if all of us, once again, will be driving at 50 kilometers per hour, which is the stipulated speed limit in the airline 2180164, okay, which says that the speed limit in town must be 50 kilometers per hour. If you are traveling on the highway, it is 80 kilometers per hour.
All right.
90 kilometers per hour. If you are traveling on the motorway, it is 100 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
But again, I believe in facts that laws must be changed and must be conformed to the street or the road at which we are driving at the moment. Because it's really impossible for all of us to drive at 50 kilometers per hour. Okay?
But if we drive at 50 kilometers per hour, at that speed, it is safe for everybody.
Yes, it is safe, but you see, I'm talking about the real facts that we see. That is the speed limit.
The point you're making is that people don't drive.
People don't drive
below 50 kilometers.
People don't drive.
So we should increase it.
Now look at the vehicle on the right. Right, this is about 70 kilometers per hour. But if we all are driving at 50 kilometers per hour, then I would say for a fact that at 50 kilometers per hour, if there's any crash, nobody will die for sure. We'll have minor injuries, whether you're in the car or even when you are knocked down, it will not be as serious as the speed 80 kilometers per hour. So again, if we refer to the bus incident that happened, when I saw the pictures, I just said no. The Dompoase case, this is 120, 140 kilometers per hour, because the faster you go, the much more difficult it is for you to stop your vehicle. And in driving, we have what we call stopping distances, braking distances, and thinking distances, right? When all comes to you as a human being behind the steering wheel, it makes a lot of sense that before you go on your brake, you will think. And if your speed is more than 80 kilometers per hour, right? Now, the stopping distances will become longer as well as the braking distances. So.
Well, hopefully you may have learnt a thing or two. Stay tuned in for more of such lessons. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. Coming up in business, deadly coronavirus impacts global crude prices, sending them below $60 for the first time in 3 months. About 200 Ghanaian students studying in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the deadly coronavirus, are demanding immediate evacuation to Ghana. At least 80 people have been killed in the outbreak, with nearly 3,000 cases recorded. The worried students who have been in lockdown in their rooms for 8 days now say they have run out of food supplies because the city is in lockdown due to fears of the virus spreading. Well, back home, Ghanaian health officials are confident measures put in place there are enough measures in place to detect and handle suspected cases of the virus following its detection in La Côte d'Ivoire. We have more on that as Joy News' health desk, head of the health desk at Joy News, Fred Smith, has been to the Kotoka International Airport to assess the situation.
For travelers arriving in Ghana, when you get to the upper arrival, at the top, we give you the health declaration forms to fill. After filling the form, she'll go through the screening, the thermal scanners. So it will pick the temperature. If it is above the threshold, it will show red. But you see this one is showing green.
Okay, so on the computer,
it shows green, yes.
Which means she's okay, she's not sick.
Yes, so if it is red, then quickly, we have so many officers around. We escort, we ask the traveler to step aside. We escort you to the isolation room, that is the Odin Bay. Then we interview you. Then we really take your temperature by using the non-contact thermometer.
Okay.
So if it is still above the threshold, we have everything. We have the Port Health, airport clinic, and the ambulance team. So quickly we have to organize ourselves. Then we transport the person to RAGE. Then we also have to inform the international health focal person.
Who is stationed here?
Who is stationed at Kolebu.
Okay.
He's under the Public Health Directorate. Because they have to know what is going on here. So whatever is going on, communication.
Once you file that communication to them, what do they do?
So quickly, they also dispatch some of their people. Though they have a staff there dealing with those cases, still somebody from the ministry also have to go and verify and see what is going on.
Is there any other place passengers could use and avoid using here?
No, this is the only place. You could see it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from here, you cannot pass anywhere.
And how do you respond to claims by some passenger that he came through here and was never screened?
You could see for yourself, you cannot pass here without screening. Nobody can enter here without screening. You see, the issue is, when you are passing, it will pick your temperature. So sometimes you may not know that your temperature will be picked. It will pick your temperature. So if it is above the threshold, that is where we'll call you. But if it is green, like the lady passed, that one will allow you to go. If it is red, we'll send you to the holding room.
I see. But do you have the logistics to do this job here?
Yes.
What do you have?
We have the nose mask, we have the goggle, we have the boot, we have the knapsack sprayer in case there's outbreak.
And I see your staff have all of these on. Is it required that they have these masks on before they interact with passengers?
Yes, every official is supposed to have a minimal PPE. You have to protect yourself because prevention is better than cure.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we are law enforcers, so we have to make sure that we do the correct thing. So you have to protect yourself so that you will also not be able to contract the disease.
I see. So in case passengers come in and there's a suspected case and they need protection, will you also have enough of these face masks to help them?
Yes, if there's a suspected case, we communicate. The chief pilot will communicate to airport traffic control.
Okay.
And they will also communicate to airport operations and the area of access. So they will also communicate to Port Health. Then quickly we organize our team to go to the flight. So when we are going, we have to go with our health documents, our health declaration forms, our passenger locator forms, then our knapsack sprayer with our PPEs. We have to put on our PPEs before we go on board.
Which means passengers cannot disembark until you have done the screening in there.
No, what we do is if there's a case quickly, we have to disembark the case first so that there will be no infection before we allow the rest of the passengers to disembark. So after disembark, we'll give them the health declaration forms. And those who are close to the case, 2 in front, 2 at back, 2 at left, 2 at right, we give them a special form, that is the passenger locator forms to fill, so that we'll be able to locate them wherever they are going.
There's a special case with China, and so there are some flights that come in on a daily basis from China through other countries. How do you handle such flights?
For example, Emirates, when they come, we have the health declaration forms. So we make sure every passenger will fill that form. On the form, when there's a problem, we'll be able to track the person. You can trace the person. So before you land, you fill the form before you get to the screening point. And when you cross the screening point and your temperature level is above the threshold, then we will escort you to the ODing area.
Is this a 100% assured system that it will flush out anybody who may have contracted the coronavirus disease and bringing them to Ghana?
The machine here is to pick the temperature. It's not to show the virus within the person, but it's to pick the temperature, because when your temperature, that is the first indicator.
After that, because we will have suspicion that people from China may have contracted this disease already, are there any special treatment of passengers from there, aside the scanning?
Everywhere in the world, when the temperature is below the threshold, there's nothing you can do. The only thing you have to do is to keep the documents so that in case it may manifest, then you can use the document to track the person. But if it is showing, if the person's temperature is below the threshold, there's nothing you can do.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament Joseph Owusu has criticized a posturing of the 18 civil society groups opposed to the compilation of a new voters register, questioning the political neutrality of some of them. The groups, including Imani Africa, IDEG, Media Foundation for West Africa and Send Ghana, amongst others, have taken on the Electoral Commission and threatened to sue if it does not back down. The main opposition NDC, supported by other smaller political parties, had also resisted the EC. The Commission last week confirmed that it approved detailed modalities for the compilation ahead of proposed consultations with the parties. Speaking in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Express, the First Deputy Speaker and MP for Bekwai called out the CSOs.
I stand with the Electoral Commission. You give somebody a job and it says that to be able to do it well for you, I need to replace this equipment, I need to take your data afresh. For me, I think the division, if indeed there is needless. The rest is politics. Our politics.
Where's the politics?
It is our style.
There are 18 civil society organizations, very reputable, credible ones who've also joined the call for the EC to back down. They certainly aren't doing politics.
And there are others on the other side, but what is really...
But they certainly aren't doing politics.
You and I know that some of the civil society organizations are more aligned than even the political party, some political parties. There are some political parties that exist only on paper, and each of them...
Civil society organizations.
Hello, there are some of them who are started and operated by non-party activists. Some on my side, some on the other side. In the end, it comes to the same political divide.
But these 18 I'm talking about are not those you put in the bracket. They are talking about...
What have they said?
About the Imanis of this world.
What have they said differently from what the political parties are saying?
I mean, their views on the subject may be aligned, but you can't put them in the same political bracket. Certainly not.
I said, beyond the politics, I don't see where the divide is, truly. Because the argument for argument of needless expenditure is not justifiable.
It is, isn't it?
The Electoral Commission has put a huge list of reasons why. Now, if we do not permit them to do what they consider as appropriate for delivering a credible election, who will we hold responsible should anything go wrong?
And that'll be it for the bulletin. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching. Up next, we bring you our Hotline documentary. Stay tuned in.